Hello, hello. I'm back once again to talk about something cultural that I enjoy. And today, that thing is K-pop. But I got into K-pop in 2021. So yeah, if you know me in real life and have talked to me at pretty much any point in the past 3 years, you've probably heard something about K-pop. But I just really think that it is such a fascinating art form, and while I am a fan, I also consider myself to be something of a scholar. And so what I wanted to do today was discuss the different elements of K-pop with a teensy bit of history in the hopes of making it a little bit more legible to the K-pop curious, because I think people are doing incredible work and I know that the audience is growing and growing, but I want to do my part to help it grow a little bit faster, you know? So send this to your mom. Send this to your friends who don't get it. I hope this video pretty quick. I'm gonna do my best to keep things moving along for you so that your mom doesn't get bored. And if there's anything I missed, let me know down below. I'm trying to keep this as factual as possible. I consider myself a jack of all trades. I have yes, I have my favorite groups, but I truly love and respect everyone in the field. So if I don't mention someone, it's not because I don't like them. Maybe I'm not familiar. Yeah, I'm just pulling examples that come to my mind quickest. Oh, and I guess also I'm focusing specifically on K-pop idols, idol groups, which is distinct from artists, hip hop artists, or a band. I'm thinking of the people who are singing and dancing and walking runways. So this very specific, admittedly limited perspective on K-pop. But I'm focusing on idol groups because that is the form of K-pop that has crossed over to the rest of the world in the most visible way. But I love everyone. Thank you so much. Please be nice to me. So I have titled it Why You Should Be Into K-Pop as an Artist/Adult. But really it's more of a how and why. Yeah. All right. So we have a little agenda. We will start with a very, very brief teensy-weensy history. Then we will talk about the elements of K-pop in general as an art form. Then we will discuss a method for engaging with it. And then finally, I will share with you some suggested viewing to get you started down this path, or to train your algorithm to send you down the rabbit hole. So, a very brief history of K-pop. Shout out to Wikipedia for kind of helping me streamline all of these thoughts. Korean music has been influenced by Western music since the late 1800s. There was, Korean jazz in the 30s and 40s, many different things. Check out Wikipedia for more info. But K-pop, as we know it, which is sort of the highly influenced by Western pop, R&B, hip hop form of K-pop, has existed since 1992. And the Asian financial crisis in 1997, in which I'll dig up a video or something about it and share my sources. But this spurred the Korean government to invest heavily in exporting culture. There was already manufacturing, there's already technology, but the government decided to also spend a lot of time and energy in pushing forth entertainment and culture, and K-pop, as we see it now, as the sort of machine that it is a result of that. Since then, there have been generations of K-pop. We are currently in the 4th generation as of 2019. Since I got into K-pop in 2021, the groups that I'm most familiar with are late 3rd and now 4th generation groups. But again, I love everyone. Send me your recommendations for 1st and 2nd gen groups and I will check them out. Okay, so in my opinion, and also the opinion of again, Wikipedia, there are 5 main elements of K-pop, and they are music, dance, visuals, concept, and fandom. And I believe that each of these elements plays a part in making K-pop so catchy, so sticky, so entrancing. I'll talk about each of these elements in more detail, but I would say that the common theme, or the common thread across all of them, is maximalism. The music is musicking harder than any other music. The dances are more elaborate, more complicated. The music videos are cinematic and expensive looking. The concept, the lore runs super, super deep. And of course, the fandom is constantly being fed new information. So as a person who is generally pro doing the most, K-pop is very much my scene. To explain a little bit more about the music of K-pop, I'll talk about what I've noticed, but I do also recommend Lyre Music on here, who is a songwriter who makes a lot of videos about the K-pop songwriting pitching process. And she's amazing. I've learned so much from her videos. But here's my perspective as an observer consumer who knows like a thing or two about music. I consider a major mark of K-pop to be high production values. There's just generally a lot going on. There are K-pop songwriting camps, so there are maybe individual writers or teams of writers, or the process, as I understand it, is that they oftentimes will come together and try and generate songs that fit a group's concept and sound at the songwriting camp. So you may end up kind of pulling, the verse from one song or one idea and the chorus from another idea, and that ends up creating these really elaborate songs with multiple hooks. I find that the verse or the pre-chorus, the chorus are all super distinct, super melodic. There's like never any feeling that a group treading water or phoning it in musically at any point. There's always so much going on, which is super exciting for me to listen to. Yeah, groups also pull from multiple genres and cultures, which does inspire some thoughts and questions about cultural appropriation, which I think is a super fair thought. But I do feel that K-pop does bring its own flavor to it. There is a part of the genre that is, I think, transformative beyond what they have taken inspiration from. But yeah, I totally see and understand the cultural appropriation point question. But I have loved some really fun songs. They've been doing a lot with reggaeton, Latin music. Le Sserafim just put out the song called Smart that pulls Afrobeat. IVE's debut song, which I love, is called 11, and that one is drawing like Indian music. It's gorgeous. And then of course there are also a lot of groups that pull from traditional Korean music and use traditional Korean instruments like BTS Idol, Stray Kids, and Sorikun, Thunderous. It's especially exciting to me to see how groups embrace and celebrate their own culture as well through K-pop, and it has helped me to learn a lot more about the culture and the traditional music in Korea too, which is great. Another mark of K-pop music is that it tends to be vocally demanding. Different group members have different strengths, but there usually tends to be at least one like big belty high note or ad lib in a song. For a while, a lot of Western music seemed to be like whispering over a drum beat, and K-pop is not that even a little bit. So yeah, again, for the maximalist girlies and for the girlies who love a melody, who love some vocal pyrotechnics, K-pop is very, very fun. I think another mark of this is experimentation. Yes, certain groups have sounds and they often kind of start out with a certain sound and establish themselves. But then I noticed that a lot of groups tend to pull in different elements, thinking about something like TXT, which started with the poppy, youthful, cutesy sound, and then dipped into disco pop, and then dipped into rock, emo influences, and then kind of shifted back to hip-hop R&B influence. They really cover a lot of different ground, and I appreciate that. And then I also think that like certain groups have more experimental sounds in general, like harder to pin down what genre they are. Thinking about a group like NCT 127, whose song, maybe a little bit more difficult to digest for the average listener, but I definitely respect how they are pushing the boundaries, trying new stuff, sampling from like wild sources. It's really cool. And then another mark of K-pop music is that they release songs really, really frequently. Groups will put out new music maybe 3-4 times a year. Those are not usually full album. Like full albums are rare, but EP mini albums are typical, and they do full promotional cycles for them. So it's very cool and exciting. There's always something going on in addition to, their touring schedules. And I'll talk more about the promotional cycle a bit later. And then I guess another thing that is sort of a mark of K-pop right now is that the lyrics have some English, and groups have started to release entire English songs, which is rather exciting in, I think, the hopes of capturing more of the English-speaking market. I will say that I often find that, like, for example, with BTS, I tend to prefer the lyrics of the songs in Korean because they just seem a little bit more meaningful. But I got fully immersed in BTS via Butter, which is an English song. So I support the English song mission as well. Okay, so the next thing to keep an eye on when you are experiencing a K-pop song is the dance, which is so fun, like exciting, engaging, a feast for the senses. Some of the hallmarks of K-pop dance are that it is highly synchronized and the groups really drill to try and standardize things like the angle of the arms in a certain move, how high is everyone jumping. That's all the work that they are putting into this process. It's incredible. Something else that I really love about K-pop and that came up in my research is the formation changes. It's truly mesmerizing to watch how the group's formations shift. Something that you may notice is that K-pop groups often have, not always, less of a rule now, but they often have an odd number of members, which is nice. If one member is soloing, it's symmetrical surrounding them. Something to consider. Groups can be pretty large, which I think is also for a variety of reasons. For men's groups, they have mandatory military service, so a larger group can continue to make music even if a couple of members go off and serve in the military for a time. But there is also something really compelling and exciting about a large group of people executing synchronized movement. There's just something about it that makes the brain go like the rocket. Dance breaks are also a mark of K-pop songs. Most songs have dance breaks built in, or occasionally they'll add them in for remixes or special presentations, but the dance break is often a super iconic part of the song. Stage presence is really, really emphasized, and the fans will come for you if they do not think you are giving enough energy on stage. Groups spend a lot of time ensuring that every move, like even if you're not in the center, that every move is sharp. Something else that happens in K-pop is fan cams, where they'll keep the camera focused on one member for the entire song. So if you are getting a fan cam made, there's no downtime. You have to be giving the whole time, even if you're not soloing. I also think that athleticism is a major part of the K-pop dance demands. There is not a lot of room for Go Girl Give Us Nothing, especially in a group. For solo artists, there has to be less dancing because otherwise you would not be able to breathe and sing. But in a group, people are jumping around, doing flips, doing lifts sometimes. It's very exciting. It's very fun to watch. And then another aspect of K-pop dance that I think is really interesting and unique about it is that it has what is called point choreography. And that's sort of the idea that every song has a specific iconic move that whenever you think of that song, you think of that dance move. When you watch a song, notice how there's a point choreography, oftentimes in the chorus or some other meaningful part of the song, where you associate that song with that move and it creates a fuller experience of the song. So something else that I think is really unique and exciting about K-pop is this focus on visuals. Again, especially as they are putting out new music multiple times a year, a group has many, many opportunities to reinvent themselves visually. So we have cinematic music videos that feel really, again, expensive. Lots of sets, lots of costumes, lots of special effects. The videos are a feast for the senses, and I oftentimes have to watch a video like multiple times to really absorb. Then there's avant-garde fashion. The K-pop fashion stylists take so many amazing risks that push fashion forward. Stylists are just so much more willing to take risks, lean into androgyny in terms of styling artists. This is a slight exaggeration, but the average K-pop boys group outfit is much more interesting and stylish than even like Met Gala Western men's fashion. So if you are a fashionista, join us on the dark side. There's also elaborate hair, makeup design. They are constantly changing their hair colors, which again, I find to help brand or package a song. You think, I remember when Jungkook had like that dark purple hair in Butter era. I remember when Felix had like the long white hair in Thunderous era. Oh my gosh, Hongjoong's mullet, like guys, Hongjoong saved the mullet. Like, where would we be? There's also makeup. I picked this picture of Jennie because it's an iconic makeup look. And sometimes they'll have graphic eyeliner, jewels, pearls as eyeliner, face jewelry or fake piercings or real piercings. So sometimes tattoos are part of the concept, even if a person doesn't actually have them in real life. And even like scars sometimes. If someone is an edgy, dark concept, they'll have like scars or cuts makeup that contributes again to the full experience of the song. The next point I have is distinct yet cohesive styling, because a lot of the time when you have a group, you need to figure out how to make each person feel unique while also still having a group feel. And that is a line that stylists have to walk, and they do it in some really, really fun and interesting ways. And that's, as I keep mentioning, I think the point of these visuals is to have impact and memorability. There are just certain eras, certain songs that when I think of the song, I can picture exactly what this group was wearing and how they were styled. And it just adds another layer of my enjoyment of a song, which is amazing. K-pop is also really concerned with concept, which I consider to like the overall impact and vibes of a song, but also like the general styling of a group. So different groups will have different concepts for a certain song. Like maybe they'll be like, this time we're trying a dark concept, and this time we're trying a cute summertime concept, and this time we're trying a bad boy concept. So different groups will do that with specific songs and figure out a concept that really fits the song, but they often also have overarching themes for the group themselves, like a sense of lore, which is kind of fascinating. Like BTS has a story about how they troubled youths, although I don't know how much that story has really continued in the past few years, but when they started out, that was their concept. Tomorrow By Together has this concept about them being a group of young boys with magical powers, sort of a fantasy. And hybe has a vampire concept. Stray Kids have like dystopian theme. Oh, Kepler has a space concept. Well, there's actual lore to be had for some of these, and you can trace themes through their music video. But then each song also has a distinct flavor. And sometimes that concept carries in like the specific kind of music that they make. Say some groups are tied to a specific genre and others are a little bit more broad while still sticking to their lore. And you have to think like where each song fits into the concept as you are engaging and appreciating. And also like for end of year awards shows and competitions, they go all out and will often turn the whole concept on its head, which is so fun. I remember Stray Kids doing a Deadpool themed set as part of a competition show, which is iconic. Ryan Reynolds talks about how much he loved the tribute. Like ATEEZ did a Game of Thrones theme concert for one of their end of year awards presentations. So it's just so cool to see how groups retool the music, dance, and visuals to fit a completely different concept when the time comes. So we love the concept. Yay. And the final element that I want to talk about today is the fandom of K-pop, because I think that the experience of being a fan is just as meaningful as all of these other pieces of the puzzle. Groups and solo artists are releasing music so much that there is kind of always something going on promotions wise, and they do press circuits domestically in Korea. There's like these music shows that give out prizes week after week. So there's tons and tons of live performances. There's talk shows, variety shows in Korea, usually with subtitles, so people of different languages can enjoy. Some groups will also make their own reality shows. They also include vlogs under this category. Of course, like Run BTS is the classic we have made our own reality variety show, but other groups have kind of followed in those footsteps. So again, there's like so much content that makes a person feel like they really know these groups. Something else that's sort of interesting is the roles or personas of the group members. Historically, K-pop groups have had assigned roles like you are the main vocalist, you are the main dancer, you are the visual, which is basically officially the hot one, whatever. Those roles have kind of fallen away. Newer groups don't tend to clearly assign those, but I still think each member of a group has a distinct persona that tends to come out in their fashion and even in the parts of songs that they are given. And so part of it is like the classic boy band, girl group, whatever, like who's your favorite member? I like so-and-so. Well, I like so-and-so. And that, again, I think contributes to the overall effect and feeling of being a fan of these groups. They also do a lot of direct connection with fans, sometimes through social media like Instagram. Historically, a lot of groups were not allowed to have Instagram, but now it seems like it's becoming more common for group members to be able to run their own Instagrams. I remember the hullabaloo around BTS members getting their own Instagrams. That was a very exciting time for the community. But there's also apps like Bubble, like Weverse, where idols can post and communicate with the fans in a way that feels a little bit more personal, very parasocial, all of it. They also will do live streams, real life or remote fan meetings. The live streams are obviously out to the general public, and then fan meetings are one-on-one, or maybe like people can watch the fan meeting. Again, it's very parasocial. There are some people like Chan from Stray Kids who will go live weekly, which is wild to me. That could never be me. On top of making music and doing dances, they are also cultivating these fan bases in a really meaningful way that not a lot of Western artists do. And again, I think it's just part of the business model, but it is something else that I find fascinating. And the media training is also very fun because there are a lot of standards for proper behavior, showing respect to your seniors or people who've been in the industry longer than you, showing respect to the fans. Also, like, appearing single. They'll like put out a love song that's very obviously a love song, and then whenever they ask them, what is this song about, they're always like, it's a song about our love for the fans. Or they'll ask what a song is about and they'll have like a very obvious chunk of text that they memorized to describe the song. And I just love that. I like find it very endearing that a part of this art form, in addition to like being an excellent performer, is also being very, very polite. I think that's cool. Although that kind of brings me to something else that I do want to acknowledge, which is the dark side of K-pop. It's not all sunshine and bubblegum and rainbows. So I'm looking at this slide and I'm like, wow, there's so many things on the slide because there's a lot of stuff going on. So, right, I guess the flip side of what I was just mentioning about the media training, the portraying themselves as kind and sweet and polite, is that there is this expectation of perfection, which can take a big toll on idols' mental health. And that has been a big issue throughout history, with even instances of people taking their own lives. And if you look on the rest of the slide, there are so many different factors that could contribute, but I think a big one is just the pressure that these performers are under. They also experience injuries, and sometimes they, perform even while injured. I've seen people performing in casts and people performing in eye patches. People don't want to be out of the game, so they push through these injuries and rarely take breaks. There's also questions of body image. There's a huge culture of like dieting, eating disorders for both men and women. Even just, we have a photo shoot coming up, so I haven't been eating anything or drinking any water so that my abs stand out, whatever it is. Just these things that are not really sustainable ways to take care of yourself, but are expected. I'll link to another video that goes into more detail from an actual trainee. Her account is Subini. She's amazing, where she talks about these sorts of things in more detail. But the body image stuff is really concerning. And I think things are starting to change, but that is still a part of the culture. Similarly, overwork is a part of the culture. If you look at these schedules that people have, they're maybe getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, running on fumes. It's really concerning to see. Again, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. The amount of promotions that they do, the amount of traveling, the amount of performances, it's nonstop. Then there's also the question of contracts and wages. Again, Subini has a video that goes into more detail about this, but historically, K-pop artists used to sign 13-year contracts, which is an incredible number. These days, I think it's down to 7, which is still an incredible number, akin to a 360 deal, where the entertainment company makes money on anything that the artist does. And something else that's a bummer about the wages and the way that people are paid is that they start training in middle school age, and then hopefully, if they're lucky, they get placed into a group, at which point they begin to pay back the debts that they have incurred during their training. So there are groups that may perform for years and years, and the group members never actually see any profits or make any money because they are paying off their debts. I've also heard of people incurring new debt in the process of making an album or promoting. When I told my mom about this, she was like, this sounds like indentured servitude or like sharecropping. And I'm like, no, it's kind of spooky. Again, these 13-year contracts have changed. That's no longer the thing, but there are absolutely major labor issues in the industry that I'm sure other people are even more informed about and can talk about in more detail and with more personal experience. Child labor is another issue because, again, they're starting training when they're middle school age and then, going on to like work and maybe not even get paid. And groups are debuting younger and younger these days, maybe partly so they can get more work out of these very talented young people, which is a major bummer. I also included scandals on here, and scandals is kind of a double-sided topic because on the one hand, there are times that idols misbehave or do really bad things, and these people are not perfect, they are human, and so they do make mistakes and can have really negative impact on people, so I want to include that. But on the flip side, I also want to talk about how the idea of a scandal, any glimpse of imperfection on an idol, can sometimes be sufficient for them to get dropped by their label, kicked out of their group, whatever. Sometimes there are actual legal problems where it's like, okay, yeah, this person needs to go. But sometimes the scandal is you started dating somebody and that means you're not single and the fans are mad. Things like that don't actually have a moral implication or even a legal implication, but it's just like enough heat that the company does not want to deal with it and they will drop someone. So we got scandals. It's a bummer. And then another big problem is stalking. And I mean, I think that part of the business model is encouraging these intense parasocial relationships. And so really scary stuff has happened with like fans stalking idols, getting their personal phone numbers, breaking into their houses or into their hotels and like chasing them in cars. Multiple idols have been in car accidents because of stalking. So these are all very scary things that are happening in the industry. And I just want to acknowledge them to give as comprehensive a picture as I can in this admittedly service level video. But with all of this said, I still feel major respect for these artists who have devoted their lives to their craft. I find it so impressive that they love the work so much that they're willing to deal with a lot of not great stuff in a really precarious lifestyle in order to create their work. They are working really freaking hard. So now what I want to get to is my recommended appreciation method for enjoying K-pop. For doing this recommendation method, I will make you a little playlist and I'm going to focus on the song On by BTS because it's a great song. It's one of my favorite songs ever. And I think that it is exemplary in pretty much all of these ideas. So you will be able to spot these key elements throughout the On promotional cycle. They also did a lot of US promo for On. So I feel like this is a really accessible way into a deep K-pop immersion, if that's what you're after. So when I am getting to know a new song, here's what I typically do. I watch the music video because that introduces the full concept of the song. So I'm experiencing the music, I'm experiencing the dance, I'm experiencing the visuals. The music video kind of holds all of that. And then in the following steps, I do a deeper dive for deeper understanding. So then I tend to look up the lyrics, the translation. Sometimes I watch with subtitles on the music video, but sometimes that's a little distracting. So I tend to look up the lyrics and read them so I know what the song is actually about. Then I check out the live performances from music shows, concerts, a US late night show. Studio Choom, which is a dance focused channel on here, oftentimes has some really wonderful live performances as well. So love to check those out. I guess maybe the order of these can swap around 3 and 4, but I also like to spend some more time with the choreography. Oftentimes they'll release a totally separate version of the music video that's all the choreography, since it's usually like interspliced with other stuff in the main video. So I love to check out a choreography video. I like to look at a dance practice. They'll usually post like a dance practice in the studio so you can see what's going on without camera movements. The camera movements are generally like standardized across performances. So if you want to see like a full stage picture, you should look for a full focus video. And then sometimes the non-moving dance practice videos will get you through that. You can also check out fan cams and see like what each individual member is doing at any given time. I'm not a big fan cammer, but that is an option as well. And then I like to look at the press tour and behind the scenes, hear them talk about the song or explain more about the concept behind it, what they're trying to do with the song. The press tour, the variety shows are very, very silly. Lots of silly little moments that happen. So those are quite enjoyable. And then behind the scenes specifically of making the music video or recording the song can also, again, show you a little bit more about the process for maximum appreciation. And by that time, time, like by the time you have watched all of those things, your algorithm has probably been poisoned. Or should I say, your algorithm has probably transcended, and you will have many other little options to watch. Some other rabbit hole things. I love a relay dance. I love a meme compilation, guides to the members, because chances are if you have completed the appreciation method, there's probably like some member of the group has like caught your eye. The K-pop stan accounts are putting in the work. They are doing so much to help promote the groups even more than their companies are promoting them. You can go onto K profiles and see what everybody's jobs are and where they're from and da-da-da. Sometimes we get a BuzzFeed puppy interview. Sometimes we get a Reed's Thirst tweets interview. It's fun stuff. There's truly an infinite amount of things that you can dig up around K-pop. Or you can just like check out a music video and be like, that song slapped. Lead singles or title tracks tend to have all of these materials. And then of course you can get into the B-sides and the additional tracks and see what else is fun there. So yeah, I'll put the BTS stuff first in the playlist, and then I'll let it filter down into other songs and other examples that I think are really, really wonderful and worth your time. I also have a Spotify playlist that I'll link to you that has way more songs that I enjoy, that I just constantly add to whenever a new one comes out that I like. And then I just want to say there's so much more to K-pop culture. New groups coming out every day. Things are changing constantly. But I hope this is a good start, and I hope it makes you feel like you have a little bit more understanding of what we're all yapping about in Western pop land. We get an album every couple of years, but in K-pop, you will always be fed. And it's just a matter of how deep you want to go down the K-pop rabbit hole. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. If there's anything I missed, let me know. Shout out your favorite group in the comments. If you have any playlists or other songs that you feel are representative of the key elements, let's get it going. Let's like make this a little K-pop appreciation zone to help people see what the most fun and iconic moments are. I have so much respect for everyone who pursues this career. It's so difficult. It's so like disruptive to your life, but they have given us a lot of joy, and I really respect them for it, unless they're evil, in which case they are hashtag canceled. I've gotten a lot of serotonin out of enjoying K-pop, especially in like deepest, darkest COVID times. And so I definitely think that there are many wonderful things that pretty much anybody can enjoy in this art form. And I hope that this has been fun and convincing. If you enjoyed this, give a shout. I have a lot of ideas for K-pop related videos. So if this does well, then I will bump those up the list of stuff to talk about. I talk about creative careers, culture, commentary, video games, TV, movies. Like at this point, I'm just born to yap, you know, I'm a born yapper, and that's what I'm going to do. Follow along for more. I appreciate you who have started to hang out so far. And if you are a new K-pop convert, welcome, 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 welcome. And if you are a mom who is watching this, hello, I appreciate your time. Thank you for hanging out with me. Love you very much. And I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.